You're losing yourself trying to keep up. Everybody chasing something. Everybody chasing something. Maybe more money, maybe success, maybe followers, maybe validation. And because social media constantly show people winning, many people feel pressured to keep up. They feel pressure to keep up financially, keep up socially, keep up aesthetically, but trying to keep up with everyone else can make you lose yourself completely. Nowadays, comparison is exhausting people psychologically. People are buying things they can't afford. They can't afford to impress people they don't even like. Living a lifestyle they secretly can't sustain. And beneath the appearance of success is anxiety. Because performance is expensively emotional. Because performance is expensive emotionally. Real peace begins when you stop building your life around people or around external approvals. You don't actually need to match everybody else's pace. You need alignment because some people move fast and burn out, others move steady and build lasting peace. So your journey does not need to look impressive online to be meaningful in real life. Stop chasing appearances. Start building substance. Because eventually the pressure to keep up becomes the reason people lose themselves. So my challenge is take one step this week towards living more authentically. Spend less on looking for validation and focus more on building a life that genuinely fulfills you. The pressure to always be strong is breaking people quietly. There are people breaking down silently every day, not publicly, not dramatically, but quietly. Because they feel pressure to always hold everything together, to always be exposed, to always be composed, always dependable, always strong. Especially young men in many communities. Vulnerability is still misunderstood. People say, man up, be tough, handle it. So emotions get buried. Pain becomes silence. Stress becomes anger. Sadness becomes isolation. And eventually, people become emotionally trapped inside themselves. But strength without emotional honesty becomes emotional imprisonment. You are allowed to feel overwhelmed. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to need support. Because suppressing emotion does not erase them, it redirects them into burnout, into anxiety, into emotional numbness. Healing begins when honesty begins, and honesty takes courage. Not performative courage, but real courage. The courage to say, I am struggling, I am tired, I need help. That is not weakness, that is self awareness. And self awareness saves lives. So, my challenge is check in honestly with yourself this week. And if you're struggling emotionally, speak to someone you trust instead of carrying it all alone. Instead of carrying it all alone, speak to someone honestly. Many people are functioning but not living. Wake up, walk, scroll, repeat. That has become life for many people. They are functioning, but they are not truly living. Nowadays, survival mode has become normal. People are emotionally exhausted, mentally distracted, physically drained, but still pushing forward because life keeps moving. And eventually, existence becomes automatic. You stop feeling present. You stop noticing beauty. You stop experiencing moments deeply. You just move through life mechanically. That's dangerous because a life filled with activity can still feel empty. You can be productive and emotionally disconnected, busy and spiritually numb. surrounded by people and still feel lonely. This is to say that living requires presence, actually laughing, actually resting, actually feeling connected. But many people haven't slowed down long enough to ask, am I genuinely happy? Or am I just surviving? A meaningful life requires intentionality, not just achievement, not just movement, not just survival. You deserve more than emotional autopilot. Do one thing this week, fully present, without multitasking, without phones or distractions, and allow yourself to genuinely experience the moment. People pleasing, pick me people. People pleasing is quiet, self abandonment. Pick me. Some people spend their entire lives trying to avoid disappointing others. So they say yes when they mean no. They stay quiet when they need to speak. They overextend themselves to keep people comfortable. They say things and act a way that pleases people. People pleaser. And slowly they disappear inside their own life. People pleasing looks kind on the outside, but internally they can become exhausting because constantly prioritizing everyone else teaches you to neglect yourself. Many people are emotionally burnout, not because they are selfish, but because they never learned boundaries. They learned survival through approval. If people are happy with me, I feel safe. If people accept me, I feel valuable. But your worth cannot depend on constant validation. You are allowed to disappoint people. You are allowed to disappoint people. Say it clearly. I am allowed to disappoint people. Say it with a full chest. You are allowed to disappoint people sometimes. Yeah, sometimes though. You are allowed to choose yourself sometimes. Because boundaries are not cruelty, they are emotional protection. And anyone who only values you when you over sacrifice yourself does not truly value you. Because real relationships survive honesty. So stop abandoning yourself to keep everyone else comfortable, because eventually self neglect turns into resentment, and resentment destroys peace. So, my challenge for you today is say no to something this week that drains you emotionally, without over explaining or apologizing for protecting your well being. Nobody talks about the grief of becoming a different person. Nobody talks about the grief of becoming entirely different person from who you used to be. People talk about growth like it's exciting all the time. New mindsets, new habits, new goals. But nobody talks enough about the grief that comes with changing. Because becoming a different person also means losing part of your old life, old routines, old friendships, old versions of yourself. And sometimes, even when the change is healthy, it still hurts in a way. So many people are secretly grieving who they used to be, not because they want to go backwards, but because transformation is emotionally complicated. You miss old comforts, old familiarity, old certainty. I get it. Growth can feel lonely because not everyone grows with you. Some people only knew the old versions of you when you've moved on. The version that tolerated less respect, the version that stayed quiet, the version that stayed small. And when you change, some relationships change too. That hurts. Ouch. That really hurts. Ouch. But don't confuse grief with failure. You are not failing because growth feels emotional. You are human. Every transformation requires letting go, and letting go is really very painful. The important thing is this: do not return to the old version of yourself simply because they felt familiar, and familiarity is not always healthy. Sometimes the old version of you survived it, but the new version of you is finally learning how to live. My challenge for you is to write a letter to the old version of yourself this week. Thank them for surviving, then commit to continuing your growth forward.